Hello, I'm here with Sarah, who is a recent graduate of the Powerful Presence program and has agreed to talk to us a little bit about her experience of it. So, Sarah, could you start us off by letting everyone know just a little bit about your work and your life and the kinds of challenges that you experience?
Sure. I found myself in powerful presence as a great time in life because I'm a business owner. I work in population health. This is my 20th year in
Wow.
that area of work, which I absolutely love. And just always learning and growing as a business owner. I'm the mom of three young kids and newly divorced. And so this found me at a time where I was really wanting some tools to better ground and stay within my body and just enjoy all the amazing things that are happening in
Mhm.
life.
Yeah, beautiful. So, a really potent time of transition for you. And also, I love your presencing, like, yeah, all this stuff is going on. There's lots of challenges. And what I really want is to stay present to the beautiful things in life. That's just so like you. I love that. Um, so, when you first heard about powerful presence, what was your first reaction to it? Was there any part of you that was kind of skeptical or doubting, or how did you respond?
I think knowing you from very long ago and our immediate connection just around coaching and knowing that you are a very practical, integrity-based leader. It did lend quite a bit of trust to it. And I think we exchanged some early emails to that accord. Um, I think because I do a lot of research around self-help and growth and tools, there's always just some skepticism of how does this fit into my belief framework, or does this at all bump up against any sort of religious beliefs or spiritual beliefs or beliefs of how we show up in the world. But that's any learning, I think. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and what I found in the course was I didn't experience that at all. It was really more a toolbox within your existing framework, which I
Mm-hmm.
think is really helpful.
Yeah. So when you say a toolbox within your existing framework, are you saying for you as a participant that it could fit into whatever framework you held in your life?
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying, that although it although the tools and the energy that I experienced has helped me dive deeper into spirituality or question the way that I practice spirituality, um the tools are truly about self connected to universe in my experience, and not necessarily walking in to challenge how that necessarily ideologically fits for the individual into a religious or spiritual framework.
Mhm.
It's just use it and plug and play as you have an experience or orientation in the world. So I think this would work for people who are would consider themselves very religious and maybe practice a very specific type of religion. And I think it would also work for people who maybe identify more as just spiritual and have a very more loose and open practice in that regard.
Mhm. I'm glad you brought that up. Absolutely. The My aim in this is that it be free of any kind of dogma and that it relies so that it not challenge any dogma that anybody is connected to, but that it really orients everyone to their own direct experience of themselves and of life more fully. So I'm glad that came through. So prior to signing up, when you probably read the website page and maybe you saw a LinkedIn post by me or something, you had these kinds of connections to it. I guess what I'm feeling around for, some people think things like, well, I don't know, it sounds kind of woo woo, or other people might think, well, I'm not sure I want to spend money on that, or will my work really support that? You didn't have that problem because you're your own boss. But I wonder if there was anything in you that had any kind of hesitation. You knew me from long ago. You and I met in a when I was part of a presenter at a leadership institute you were a part of. So you had some exposure to me as a leader. But the content itself, was there anything in it that gave you pause for a minute?
No.
That's great. Okay, that's good.
I honestly no. I think to me, I get in boom and bust cycles of wanting to learn and invest
Mhm.
in whatever I need to do. And so I'm trying to do better at just picking one. And this was just the one that I think going into January that I just saw and I kind of would read and I'd be like, no, it's not time for that. Or I don't know if I want to invest yet and what have you. And then I just kept coming back to it to say, if I were to invest in one thing, this would be the one thing that I would invest in. And that's certainly what I did.
That's fantastic. And how did you know it would be the one thing? Like, how did you decide what the one thing would be?
For me, the one thing is um at this point in life is to slow down and embody. Oh, sorry, I need to let me redo that because I'm going to turn off my
Mhm.
alerts so it doesn't ping during your video.
Well, it's
Sorry
just fine
about
because my phone just rang, despite the fact that I have Do Not Disturb on
that.
everywhere.
Okay. Okay, I just put do not disturb so you won't get any more pings. And am
Well,
I stalling out for you or are we okay?
no, so far so good.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. So I'll take that again. Um, I knew that this was the one training that I wanted to invest in at the beginning of this year, simply because I do a lot of activities to research and journal and stay in that mental space. But where I am really growing into is how do I embody that and how do I stay present and live in that space? Also, in the class, learning a little bit about some of our energy patterns, what was really clear to me is out of coping mechanisms early on, have oftentimes sort of checked out as
Mm-hmm.
a way to cope.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't need to do that anymore. I don't need that at this point of my life. And this is a really good practice. I would say practice because I was even thinking about preparing for today this morning, and I thought, well, I'm at least doing it, I think, once a day, but it's right. I'm not at some sort of level that I would say that I've arrived by any means, but introducing a practice of connecting what I'm seeking from the mind into how does that feel? And I
Yeah.
think that is something that sometimes we get in therapy for sure in letting go of the grief or letting go of limiting beliefs. And for me, really practicing and grieving has been great. But this in particular has been this wonderful direct embodiment connection to joy,
Mm-hmm.
into a lack of suffering, that I don't know that there are other modalities that I've experienced that can get you there in that way. I'm also someone, I will share that I realize the data behind meditation and people say go and do it. And I think for people who do have some anxiety, which I do, and a busy mind, it is challenging and definitely not as, in my experience, as beneficial. To
Yeah.
me, my mind needs a job. I'm a very visually oriented person, and that's why I have really enjoyed the basics that we've learned in this program because I have a very sharp visual to every single step. And it
Mm-hmm.
is pretty joyful to have that routine and walk through
Mm-hmm.
that where my mind knows exactly what to do. And it's not just wandering in the woods.
Yes. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And it's been so good to see you really take to the practice and use it in your life. Because isn't it just astounding? With a simple shift of our attention, it really takes no effort, no energy, no extra time. And we shift our lives into presence and joy and contentment and well being. I want everyone
So
to know how to do this because it's so simple and so life changing. Anyway,
it
been
really
really
is. It really actually has made me think of why haven't we known this before we're in midlife?
right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, and it's so natural to what we are. You don't have to have any kind of special skill or be a super outstanding kind of ascended individual. We all came with this wiring. And just culturally, over time, we have conditioned socially ourselves to narrow and narrow and narrow the aperture of what we can be aware of and what we can embody. And all we have to do is simply remember that, oh, yeah, I came in with that. I have all this capacity. Joy is my birthright, no matter what's happening around me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, can you tell me a little bit about what you've noticed in terms of your use of these tools or the awareness you've gained as part of this program when it comes to the different contexts of your work? You're a business owner, you're a parent, a single parent of three small children, and going through a big life change. So, how have these tools supported you in that?
I think the tools have supported me in starting out a little more sturdy in the morning or finishing a little bit more grounded or sturdy in the afternoon. I want to say that I've perfectly used them in the moment of I need to take a break and do my basics. I have not at that level, but just making it a part of my daily practice and knowing that it's accessible at any point. I think practice rather than perfect has been my motto. And so even if I need to recalibrate some of my basics in the car in between a meeting, or if I can't even do all the basics, but I can just take a few moments for breath work, that's been fantastic. So just having that as almost as a touch tree to go to
Mm-hmm.
just reconnect and ground. One of another, I think, big component is just even the grounding piece of like letting go of the extra energy that has felt so nourishing and comforting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because for I think people who part of my work that I love is I get to think about population health. So I never have to meet the person to get very emotional and advocacy based about their plight in life, whatever that might be. And I can write about them and I want to raise money to help that issue. And so it's great to have those connections to emotions, but being able to choose when or how, or to be able to just diffuse and let go of that extra energy is incredible. That has helped a ton.
Yeah, I can imagine. And so it's different than suppressing or being
Mhm.
overwhelmed by. It's like actually finding a place. Presence doesn't mean we don't have emotions. We still feel all the passion and joy and connection, but it's that capacity to be able to right size them in service of what we're really about in the moment and feel everything in an integrated way.
Feel everything in an integrated way and what's not meant for me. I think these are probably your words, Grace, but what's not meant for me or helpful or useful in this moment to just go ahead and give it back, let it go, that it's not mine to carry. And that is a tool I wish I would have had 30 years ago.
Absolutely. You and me both. Isn't it an amazingly powerful thing? Oh, that's not mine.
Mhm.
Actually, we're so conditioned. And I think sometimes as women as mothers, they will carry anything. Anybody can hand us whatever and I'll put it in my purse, just like I'll carry that. We're just used to that. But there are things in life we don't have to carry and we can still be in service. And in fact, we're better for other people when we've got hold of ourselves and are fully present. Could you say
Absolutely.
could you say just a little bit, because you're a lifelong learner, like many people, me too. And so some of us read a lot of books. And
Uh-huh.
right, so there are books out that talk about similar things. Can you say something about what was different for you having the experience in the program from reading a book about presence?
Before I say the official thing, I would just say that with my ADHD, I largely don't finish a lot of books. That was a shame thing that I would never say out loud years
Mm,
ago. I also have a graduate degree. I read and write a lot, but getting through a full book is a challenge in busy life. I do a lot of audiobooks because I can move as I'm listening. Um,
mhm,
so why is this different from a book? A book I would never complete as much as I would be excited to complete it. And also the book learning compared to this class is very different because it's in your brain and within that thought pattern. And this is maybe reading some tools, but also then embodying them and then also practicing in a safe community. I think that's a big piece too. I find and benefit from learning communities and the fact that you
mhm,
cultivated a very kind group, a very nurturing
mhm,
group who could come together and reflect back and encourage one another, to me just reinforces those connection loops that encourage
Yeah.
folks to learn more. And so it takes really what one might read out of a book, but actually brings it into practice,
Yeah.
where you also need some of the coaching. I mean, there are some ways where you could maybe take a tool a little sideways or maybe a little too far. And I do think having the in-person or virtual coaching sessions are really crucial too.
Hmm. Absolutely. You brought up the community, which is such a precious part of it. Really good people tend to get attracted to this work, and to build really beautiful and supportive learning environments together. Um, I think there's a lot of value because people bring different experiences. And so sometimes somebody asks a question we didn't think to ask, or they have an experience that's different. And it helps us also fine tune, how does my unique instrument work? Whereas that person's energy
Mhm.
body, subtle perceptions, sensing, architecture is different than mine. Seeing somebody who's different can help me know, oh, by contrast, oh, I see exactly how my system works, how my refined knowing works. You do
Yeah,
have that experience?
I did. And I also think in experimenting in the embodiment of, as an example, one of the lessons, are we sending our energy out? Are we sending those feelers out? Are we too aggressive? Are we too back? I think in a safe space to also via Zoom, interestingly enough, to be able to even see self as you're interacting with others, to just
Mhm.
check in with that was a nice experimentation space just to try out some things and think in the moment, oh, I can pull my self and energy back in that moment. So
Mhm.
I think learning from others and also experimenting in the relation with others
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
crucial.
Such an important part of it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Was there anything that really surprised you about the experience?
I think one thing that I guess two things that really surprised me. One being at the beginning of the session, I think because it was something I was so excited and passionate about, it was very anxiety producing for me.
Hmm.
And I remember the first session having to go off camera and emailing you and saying, hey, I needed to hop off camera a couple of times. I hope you know that that's not anything disrespectful. I'm just kind of trying to regulate essentially. And then really by the end, having a lot more tools to where in these in these virtual sessions, but also in other sessions that I can be physically be.
Wow, how powerful is that? Just to know I can actually physically be so
Yeah,
many.
sorry, I'm getting teary-eyed. And I think the other surprising thing that I shared in our group, but I'll share here, is that I absolutely love singing and I'm finding my way back to a lot of my passion areas. And I was able to practice and perform a whole song in a production recently. And what was so remarkable about it versus the hundreds of times I've done it in life before is that I fully enjoyed it and stayed there. And I'm not Whitney Houston. I'm not a professional performer, and that wasn't the point of it. But it was completely embodied and completely joyful. And I actually, for the first time, really enjoyed it. My family has recently gone back through some videos because they're switching it all to the cloud and what have you. So it's been really interesting as the timing was unplanned to see even some like early high school vocal music performances. And I just want to hug that gal because she was just very uncomfortable and brave and putting herself out there, but not really enjoying it, not even enjoying the gift. And I did practice these tools before I went on stage by myself, very intently, and really received a lot of support going into that performance where it was just a completely different experience. And now I can do it more often for the rest of my life and truly enjoy it.
Wow. And that experience you had singing on stage and the contrast you just painted for us from the this sweet teenager in high school who got on stage and sang but wasn't enjoying it, and maybe didn't even feel the ability to be physically present or to be safe enough to really be here, and mapping out this trajectory for us to the place where 12 weeks after the a 12-week program, and you're able to, what a better expression of joy than to sing, to really express the joy of being in a body in front of other people, in connection with others, expressing yourself. That's just fantastic. That's just fantastic.
And I think it's absolutely mind blowing, honestly. That's why I'm happy to share that story. And also because in practicing the tools that we learned in Powerful Presence, it gave me a direct connection to that support
Mm-hmm.
that we all have connection to, but we maybe don't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
Connection, ancestral connection, connection from earth and higher power, and terms that maybe seem woo-woo to people, but once you experience it, you know that it is very real. And that's a very powerful thing to know that we have connection to at any time that we can connect to.
Yeah, absolutely. When we really have the physical experience of I am never alone,
Mm-hmm.
and I am never without help and resource
Hmm.
in everything that I do. It's beautiful. So, if you were going to offer one or two things to people who are contemplating this program, what would they be?
Meaning recommendations
Yeah.
or,
Thoughts, ideas, suggestions,
yeah, yeah.
given your experience.
It's a good question. I think given my experience in this program, if someone is considering this course, I would say number one, being okay with being uncomfortable to start and being okay with not having all of the potential intellectual philosophical questions answered, and
Mm-hmm.
just practicing and just using the data of I'm going to try this thing and then how does it feel afterwards, just keeping that simple, to see what their experience is my recommendation. And number two, I would say this is one of the most powerful tools that I have come across in all the learning, all of the programs, all of the things that I have done. And I am a constant learner, so I love doing leadership programs and ongoing learning. This truly is about self and connection of self to presence and your own power. And I think that that is incredibly rare.
Mm-hmm.
I think if an individual is ready for that connection, then this is the course for them.
Great. Thank you very much for that.
Did you hear the people in the background? I'm sorry. Do you want me to say that again?
Um, I did hear the people in the background, and oddly, it sounded like one said something about your guiding light.
Oh, I have a weird story to tell you before we hang up too.
Okay, let's close our recording, and then we'll do that. I think
Okay.
that was great how it was. It's fine that there's
Are
somebody in
you
the background.
sure I can restate a bit of that without the talking if you'd like me to?
I think it's okay. I mean, I'll
Okay.
see when I hear the recording, but I heard
Okay.
a little bit of something, but it really just feels like real life. Like it, see, because the background's blurred, it's sort of like, oh, is she in an office somewhere in a co-working space? Or is it Panera?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's just wind this up. I'll just thank you for being here, then we'll close. Sarah, thank you so much for taking the time to offer your experience. It has been such a pleasure and delight to watch you using these tools and just thriving in your life and expressing your beautiful heart in such gorgeous, connected ways. So thanks again.
Thank you for the course and for investing in us.
Yes, absolutely.